Hello, everyone, and welcome to A New Direction. My name's Jay Izzo, and oh man, we have another great show. So easy. It's so easy. I get great authors who write great books, and then they show up at my desk. I review them, and I go, okay, let's get them on because this is awesome. Uh, Lee Benson, best-selling Wall Street Journal author, USA Today best-selling author, wrote this amazing book called Your Most Important Number. If you're watching us live, you could see it. Increasing collaboration, achieve your strategy, and execute to win. It's not a long read, but my gosh, powerful. My gosh, powerful, folks. Let me just jump into this. I was telling Lee that there was a point in time when I was in grad school, and we were working on goal setting. And we were trying to figure out, and this is decades ago, we were trying to figure out why goal setting doesn't work. And we did a number of testing. I was in the human behavior lab doing experiments at Washington State University as in graduate school, working my master's and my doctorate. And we couldn't figure out what the missing link was in goal setting because it doesn't work. I know that I have promoted it. I know that I have been on the bandwagon with it. I know I have said, well, it's better than nothing, which typically all of you people out there who own businesses and CEOs say, well, it's better than doing nothing. Well, I have a better idea for you. You know what I think is better than that? I think, why don't you just take them out for a drink and get to know them? That would be better than goal setting, all right? And I've been very frustrated with it because, you know, we've done all these things with SMART goals. And this is still not working. And we come up with, well, that we're parenting, as my author says. We're just doing some sort of parenting here. And we need it a better way. And that's what Lee Benson wrote, was a better way. And when I read it the first time, and then I read it again, and there were sections of this book I probably read 4 or 5 times, I kept hearing in my head, you know what? That can be used for not just, it's any size business. So we're going to get into that. But let me talk to you about Lee Benson because Lee is absolutely outstanding. Lee Benson is a serial entrepreneur, CEO, and Wall Street Journal bestselling author. 30 years of experience building and scaling businesses, including leading one from startup to a 9-figure exit. Today, he helps organizations worldwide align their teams around what truly drives measurable value through his MIT. Start this all over again. All right, so we've got Hey,
Hey,
sorry about that. I don't know, but I just restarted the whole entire system. So I shut everything down, restarted it. So I don't know. That just,
it's good. It's good for now. No worries. I've had technical difficulties occasionally as
yeah.
well.
Well, we'll move on. You ready to start all over again?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Here we go. Counting us in here. In 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to A New Direction. My name is Jay Izzo, and oh man, we got a great show for you today. Book entitled, listen, it's a Wall Street Journal bestseller. It's a USA Today bestseller. The book is entitled Your Most Important Number, Increase Collaboration, Achieve Your Strategy, and Execute to Win. Lee Benson is the author, forward by Ram Charan, who is also a #1 New York Times bestselling author. Let me just say something about this. When I was in grad school at Washington State University, working my master's and doctorate in psychology, we had studied. We were in the human behavior lab. We were studying goal setting, and one of the things we were studying was that goal setting just didn't work. It just didn't work. Because it didn't work, we were trying to figure out, well, what are the reasons why this doesn't work? And one of the reasons why is because we found out is that it was just there was no single factor we could point to that would include why goal setting didn't absolutely work. I understand we're having some technical difficulties right now. Lee, are you still having technical difficulties?
Yeah, you're going in and out with the audio. I can see you fine. I can hear you fine now.
Okay. Because evidently people are able to hear me, and because they're responding online.
Excellent.
So people are responding to me and saying hello and good to see you again. Debbie Kelly, always good to see you, and thank you for joining us. So we may be having a little bit of difficulty between evidently Lee and I. So we're going to do the best that we can to get through that. If it becomes too much of an issue, we will reschedule the show and we will try it again under different circumstances. So we're going to do the best that we can to see if this works. If it doesn't, and we go through another technical difficulty, we're going to reschedule. Lee, are you okay with that if you can hear me?
100%. I'll work on my lip reading too, man. So
we're gonna start for a third time. So if you don't mind being with us since we're live, we're gonna restart the show because I got to do this for podcast and it helps me with editing. So here we go. Everybody out there, if you're watching, want to know what it's like behind the scenes to make this happen, you're getting the full treatment here. All right. So here we go. We're going to count us in. We'll start all over in 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to A New Direction. My name is Jay Izzo, and oh man, we got a great show for you today. This is a best-selling Wall Street Journal bestseller, USA to best-selling author Lee Benson. His book, Your Most Important Number, fabulous. Increasing collaboration, achieve your strategy, and execute to win. Folks, I want to just say something. We're at the end of the year. And you know what happens at the end of the year? I know what you're doing if you're a CEO or you own a business. Here's what happens. You are getting ready to have some sort of goal-setting thing that you're going to do. That's what you're going to do. And you're going to make everybody go out and get their little pens, or they're going to type in, and they're going to talk about all the goals that they got to do for the year. And you probably got them into this little mini business plan that's about 2 pages long, maybe 3 pages long, maybe 5 pages long. And then you're going to have them fill it all out, and you want them to be excited about that. It doesn't work. I have promoted it. I have cheered on SMART goals, and you know what? I've known better. But no. I've studied goal setting, and for years we've been talking about why doesn't it work? Why doesn't it work? Why doesn't it work? For decades, Back in the 90s, when I was in grad school, right? We were studying goal setting and it didn't work. We couldn't figure out why, because there's so many factors. But you know what the number one thing is? You know why it doesn't work? Because nobody's motivated to do it, people. I wish I could have said that, but it came from the book. Nobody's motivated to do it. And so then you know what you reach out and you do? You go out and you know what you do? You're gonna go, we're gonna do it through punishment. And if you don't meet your goals, that'll motivate them. Folks, do you understand that punishment, by definition, is to extinguish a behavior? Reinforcement encourages the probability of a behavior. So when you implement punishment, you are not motivating. Nobody goes to the county fair or the state fair because somebody held a gun to their head and said, you better go. They go because they're motivated to go. Isn't that what you want? Of course it is. It's what we all want. The answer's right here. So I want to talk about Lee Benson because he's got answers where we all have questions. Lee Benson, serial entrepreneur, CEO, and Wall Street Journal bestselling author with over 30 years of experience building and scaling businesses, including leading one from startup to a 9-figure exit. Today, he helps organizations worldwide align their teams around what truly drives measurable value through his MIND methodology, the MIND methodology, most important number in drivers. His Wall Street Journal bestselling book, Your Most Important Number, is recognized as a practical guide for leaders seeking clarity, and that is true. Accountability, that is true, and exponential growth, absolutely. Alongside his business leadership, Lee is also the CEO of Dinner Table, a fast-growing global community of more than 50,000 families. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, welcome for the first time to A New Direction, Lee Benson. Lee, welcome to A New Direction.
Jay, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're okay. We're going to fight through. We have resilience. And you talk about that a little bit in the book too. By the way, some resilience. So let's dig into this. Your most important number. You have a note to the reader right out of the gate that says, winning means keeping score. Lee, we don't want to hear that, but that really is important, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, how do teams like to work? When you look at professional sporting teams, you can see the score and whether you're winning or losing. And we're measuring in every professional sports team hundreds of other things to improve stats and all that. But at the end of the day, the team is aligning around a number to see if you're winning or losing. And within an organization at the top, that number is going to be something reflective of how you would value the business. And then every single team, as you go out, whether it's one team, 5 teams, 1,000 teams, 10,000 teams, it doesn't matter. Every team should be designed to create value in a certain way. And so what is that one number that's most reflective of that will also drive the majority of the right behaviors? And, for me, the reason traditional goal setting doesn't work is that I don't think most employees even understand how they're supposed to set goals. What's it around? And, Jay, it sounds like you've been in a ton of companies just like I have. And when I audit their goals, 90% of them plus are just not very thoughtful, even as a goal. And then you get senior leaders that are really frustrated. Why isn't everybody doing what we didn't explain to them to do in the first place? Not very clearly. And so what I like about the elegance of this most important number in drivers sort of management system is every team has a number that says whether they're winning or losing. They all get to set the plan for that number. Like we started at this level in 12 months or 18 months or whatever, we're going to be there. At any point in time, we're on track or we're not. You can figure that out. And you can see the best work every single team member is doing to help achieve that number, if you will. And when any most important number for a team, when it improves, it always accretes up and contributes to increasing the value of the business. It's such a simple, elegant way to get everybody fully aligned around creating value. Because at the end of the day, we have an organization. It should be designed to create value. Every team within the organization should be designed to create a part of that value and all kind of lock together and do it together to. And I would say this is the most important primary job of the CEO of every company is to continually and responsibly increase the value of their business. get everybody in the game, and let's create an environment where everybody is having fun creating value, and you're doing it right when they all act like the CEO of their own role in actually doing it. And that's a lot more effective and fun than, hey, every 3 months everybody set 3 goals and call it something strange or whatever you want, and then rinse and repeat. It feels terrible, right? For the employees, it feels terrible. But if you're on a team and you've got this scoreboard and you want to win, you might be measuring 25, 6, whatever extra things, but only to help you make better decisions to improve your most important number. Now we're having fun. And if they know exactly, every single team member, what's expected and where they stand regarding performance, and we're really clear about that, now they could actually set a goal and be motivated to achieve it if they wanted to actually do that.
So when we talk about the mind management system, and you put this in terms of that, and I think we all have some form of it, a management operating system, right? Where we got a set of tools, meetings, behaviors, we got a general way of how we do the work and manage people and processes. This MIND is really a management operating system, but it's very, very different. So can you give us a general, the listener, a general idea of when we say MIND, which is most important number, and deliver and drivers. Can you give us kind of a brief overview of kind of, as we dig into this, what we're really talking about in terms of a mind management system?
Yeah, the acronym, as you just said, it stands for most important number and drivers. So what's your team's most important number, and what are the things that are driving your ability to achieve, right? So if let's say, hey, we made $1 million in the last 12 months in profit in this particular company, and over the next 12 months we want to make $2 million, and it just happens to be a linear business, and how that happens. At any point in time, you can track whether you're on track, over delivering or under delivering on that particular number. And then you want to track all the work or drive whatever's driving it. So that's all drivers really is. Are they strategic initiatives at the top level to move the needle and keep that profit going? Are they categories? So if we pick marketing, there could be things that drive qualified leads coming in. Could be, how are we leveraging the website, social media? There's a number of things that we can track. So these are like categories of work we can leverage. So how well are we leveraging them today to improve the number of qualified leads that we're bringing in from a marketing standpoint? But that's really all it is. And what I don't like are the one size fits all management operating systems. Everybody has to do exactly the same, because companies aren't one size fits all. Even in the same industry, the people are different, the teams are different. So with the most important number, it's whatever that number is for you, and you get to come up with it. The drivers that are you're basically leveraging to achieve that number, it's going to be whatever that is for your team, and your team comes up with it. Because Jay, you know this very well, I'm sure, that the more teams own their number and own their work, the more motivated they're going to be to run in that direction and make it happen. And I think that's where real self-esteem, fulfillment, achievement, that sense internally, this intrinsic motivation comes from achieving and accomplishing challenging things.
I agree with you. I think it's really interesting because the way you've outlaid this book, the first chapter is called Alignment Begins at the Top. And the subtitle right underneath that is The Senior Leadership Sets the Direction. I think one of the challenges that people had, because I was thinking about this in terms of myself, is, okay, I've never done this before. I've got to have alignment. I mean, the first thing that came out of my head was, I got to have alignment. How am I going to get everybody aligned? And because, we want buy-in, right? We want 100% buy-in in this. And I think what you propose in this book is that, okay, if you set it up right from the top down, from senior leadership, we can get complete buy-in and alignment. So I know for a fact, because you asked this question in this chapter, do you think you're all on the same page? I know for a fact that if I walked into any business that I'm coaching, they would all tell me yes. but I know it's not true because I know that even in my businesses, that's not always true. So let's talk about alignment and unpacking that a little bit.
Yeah, if you think about alignment at the top, and I love being on the front line. So I'm CEO of 2 companies today. I'm invested in several with active roles with my team, helping them grow the value of those different businesses. And then through the consulting, a number of other businesses, plus all the leadership development. So I get to work with all these senior leadership teams. And one of the things I ask is, what's the job of the CEO? And they don't typically have a very good answer to that, but they really like my answer: responsibly and continually grow the value of the business. And then I ask senior team members, so what's your plan going into the, let's say, weekly senior leadership meeting? And it varies. I just want to see what's going on, and I'm doing this one thing. I want to find out about that. And I said, well, wait a minute. If the CEO's job is to continually responsibly grow the value of the business, then by proxy, collectively, the rest of you are doing that. So when I come into this meeting and I'm working with you in a consulting capacity, or I'm one of the principal investors in the company, I'm coming in to work with all of you to make the right moves to continually and responsibly grow the value of the business. That's my plan coming in here. And if we're not aligned at the top around just doing that as a goal, and then the primary things that we want to accomplish to make that happen, what are we cascading to the rest of the organization? And a lot of senior leadership teams, like I sort of mentioned earlier, they get really frustrated that things aren't happening, that they weren't clear they wanted to have happen in the organization. Well, let's back up. We need clarity and alignment right at the top first, and then we can start cascading it out. And I think order really matters. And I've heard on your podcast, talking with guests around culture and having fun and all these other things. It's wild to me that companies will start with that without having alignment first, because it almost doesn't matter. It just fizzles and goes away. Like, order really matters. I think of it as clarity, alignment, structure, and then culture, because we need to design this thing to create value. We need to align everybody to that value so they're clear around it. Now, how we move in that direction really starts to matter. And so let's bring in culture. Let's bring in, leadership traits, leadership development, all of that stuff to continually improve how we work together to create value. But if we're not clear on the value that we're supposed to be creating, it's a complete waste in my view. That's why I think, Jay, probably, and I used to have Jack Welch, who was a business partner of mine in Execute to Win, agree with me on this, that 90+% of all leadership development work done in the United States is a complete waste. We'd be better off just buying a movie ticket so they can go do something they enjoy, not waste all the time at work and all the money that goes into it, because there are all these one-size-fits-all leadership development programs. So let's start with clarity and work our way to culture, and then you've essentially achieved the ability, in my opinion, if you do this right, to continually and responsibly increase the value of your business, that's our job collectively as leaders.
When I went to etw.com, by the way, folks, you want to hold on to that website. It's etw.com. And I went to the tools section, the /tools, and I pulled up your tools. And one of the things that you have was a little heading on one of the tools, I can't remember which one it was, is that it doesn't start with people, which you just kind of alluded to. And, at first I read that, right? And I went, oh, what Lee, what are you doing here? But then when you say it the way you say it, it makes so much sense, because how can I start with people if I don't have clarity on what I want to do in the first place? And if I can't have clarity up front, and I'm just going to start with my people, and this is going to come out wrong, probably the way I'm saying it, but it's kind of like letting the tail wag the dog, because then we have no clarity. We're just focused on the people. But if we want some place where people are attracted to, and we develop the culture, it's got to start at the top.
Yeah. And the tool you're talking about is outcome structure people, kind of walking through that, and start with the outcomes you want to achieve. And then what's the ideal structure as best you can design it, looking at your organization. And within that structure would be roles, these seats that need to be filled. And within each role, you would have just one to a max of 3 outcome-based responsibilities that are very measurable, that you're going to basically determine whether somebody's creating the value in that role that you hired them for, that they agreed to come in and create that value. And then a list of job duties and capabilities that would be required to have a shot at achieving those outcomes. So now we've got outcomes, structure, including roles and those outcome-based responsibilities, and now the people. And obviously people are the most important thing. We make all the things happen as we work together, but now we're matching these people into these roles to give them a better chance of success. If we just start with people and let's make the best of what we have, like how many leaders, CEOs, founders, presidents, Jay, have you talked to that have been frustrated literally for years that, Mary or Bob or Susan or somebody just they're just not delivering on sales or not delivering as a COO or whatever. Well, they were never capable in the first place and you left them there, and what a disservice. And yet somehow you getting frustrated with them will miraculously give them the capability to achieve the results. So you set them up to fail. And by the way, 50% of it's on them for taking the role. So this isn't, to me, it's when something goes wrong, it's 100% the leaders. Everybody gets to share in this. In my view, I think we all do. But that's why I go outcome, structure, people, to give them the best chance of success. Now, you could easily make the argument, hey, start with the right people and they'll do that. Of course. I mean, that's what I do. That's what I teach everybody to do. But that's not what most companies do.
Right. Yeah. And I think this is where, finding your most important number and starting there and knowing what that outcome is that you want first, which, by the way, let me just say this. In the companies that I work with, so often, the leadership will set up a number, but they don't share it with the rest of the company, which I find bizarre, right? So let's say it's something with the beta, right? Well, first of all, if, they say, we want our beta, blah, 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 right? What is this number? If you were to walk around many of the companies that I've worked around and you ask them, what is a beta to their people? Do you know about 70 to 80% of them couldn't even tell you what that is? And they don't even know how it relates to what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's, I think when you say clarity, as simple as this sounds, is that whatever the leadership number is that they feel is their most important number, you've got to make sure that that's really clear to the people in the different departments that you have, that they understand it so they can come up with their most important that fits into that. Do I have that wrong, or have I messed this up?
Yeah, just declaring a profit increase number, EBITDA, net profit, cash flow, whatever. Just declaring that is not a strategy. And the worst thing we can do is have a number that we don't tell anybody what it is and then get frustrated when it doesn't happen. It's like, why don't we declare a number, write it down, hide the number, blindfold everybody, give them bows and arrows, spin them around, and let's see what they actually hit. I mean, it makes no sense. So any number that we come up with has to be based in reality on what's possible. So when you look at all the functions and their most important numbers and what they know about, the target market, the addressable market that they really want to go after, the business they have, how they get to their trusted relationships. I mean, it's got to be based on reality and what they could actually make happen. But to your point, there are a lot of leaders that just say, we're going to grow 20% this year and go make it happen. And then even worse, like you said, don't even tell half the company what they're trying to do. And I would also say, and I love, Ram Charan wrote a book, What the CEO Wants You to Know. It's a really short, super simple book that talks about EBITDA, cash flow, and other things. I think we should be teaching all of our team members the basics of business finance that way. Like, this is how we price. These are all the expenses that go into delivering our products and services. Here's how we make profit today. And here's the exciting part, which is potential for future profit. And we'd like all of you to be in the game. And here's how it relates to your department. So even when I had 500 employees in my aerospace business, I sold for 9 figures in 2016. I gave every single one of the employees a complete set of all of our books every single month. And if they weren't, some of the team members, I didn't expect them to understand the difference between a debit and a credit and some of the other things, the amortization. but we would produce plain English detailed trial balance reports for them. You're in this department, you use so many of these things, so many of those things. It costs this. And it was amazing what they came back with in terms of improvements in saving money. How's that resonate?
Well, here's the thing. What you've done here is now you've given, because you've been transparent, and I think transparency is really important here. And I think when it comes to finances, oftentimes businesses don't want to be that transparent. But when you decide that, you know what, I'm going to make the numbers more transparent. And I'm going to look at you, if you're in your department and you see this is what your department costs, right? And then you go, this is where I want to head, right? Well, obviously the first thing is, oh, well, we can save money. But what you really push hard in this book, and I love this, is that what's the value that you're creating? Because it becomes value creation, meaning, yeah, saving money is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not against that. But if I'm creating more value, then I'm increasing, I'm just not looking at the way to save it. I'm looking at a way of how can I be more beneficial to the company as a whole?
Yeah.
And that's two different things.
Well, I think about it two different ways. One, foundationally, I hate the word budget. I've got this money, I need to spend it. No, that's the wrong thinking.
Right.
So the two ways I look at it, and I always talk to all of my team members and my businesses about this, is we want to get the most value for every dollar we spend, and we want to get the best return for every dollar we invest. And how can you marry up the most effective value creation combination of those two things in every single team within the organization? And it's interesting how when you start that, like it'll be a new company and I roll something like this out, they don't understand it at all, and their examples are terrible. And I love that because now I know exactly where I'm starting from when it comes to educating and developing them to have more of a value creation mindset and capability. Does that make sense, Jay?
Makes total sense. So beautiful. We're just getting started. His name's Lee Benson, Wall Street Journal, USA Today bestselling author. The book, Your Most Important Number, Increase Collaboration, Achieve Your Strategy, and Execute to Win. You're listening to him here on A New Direction. Hey, folks, Zoundy, ultimate game changer for authors and publishers like myself and Lee, who are in the audiobook space. Listen, it's the only platform that I've ever been involved with that gives me an opportunity to interact with people who actually download and listen to the book. It's absolutely fantastic. I am able to know who's actually downloaded the book. I can ask them questions about what you like, what you didn't like. Helps me understand what I should write next, what I should work on next. It's a fabulous platform. So whether you're launching your first audiobook or you're scaling your entire catalog of books, check out Zoundy, Zoundy. I have a special code if you're interested, if you're a publisher or author. It's zoundy.com/J, Jay. If you use my code JAY25, that's JAY25, you will unlock special savings, I promise. And then Linda Craft Team Realtors, for more than 40 years, they've been helping people transition in life. You say, what do you mean by that? Well, think about every place you've ever lived has been a life transition. And for 40 years, they've helped thousands of people reduce the stress in that, whether they're selling or buying a home. They'd love to help you. Check them out, lindacraft.com, LINDACRAFT.com. And we're back here on A New Direction with Lee Benson, Wall Street Journal, USA Today bestselling author. Your Most Important Number, Increase Collaboration, Achieve Your Strategy, and Execute to Win. Available bookstores everywhere that they're sold. Absolutely fabulous book. You should get a copy. I'm telling you, it's not just a game changer, it's a business changer. And I would argue it's a life changer because it's going to make you think about motivation in a very different way than you've been thinking about it currently when it comes to your business. I want to talk about a concept that you brought up here that really interested me in the first chapter. It was called eating versus dreaming. And you said the best definition of leadership I've ever heard is eating and dreaming at the same time. I think this is an important concept. Now, I love to have you expand on these two, the idea of eating and dreaming. Would you mind doing that?
Yeah, happy to. So the thinking there is eating is getting short-term results now. So the best leaders get great results right now. but they're also continually doing things to get even better results in the future. And so they have this sort of steady climb in the value that they create over time. And I would add to that, so eating and dreaming at the same time, we want leaders that can do both. And I really think the definition of leadership that makes the most sense, that it just universally applies, is creating value with and through others.
Mm.
And the best leaders do short and long and medium term all at the same time. They're going all the way through, making the best of what they have to work with. No leader I've ever met has all the resources they want. I hear, you probably hear this too, Jay, small, medium-sized company. Once we get to this size, we'll have everything we need new. I remember talking to Jack Welch about it. Even when GE was at its height, at the time, the most valuable company in the world, 400,000 plus employees, he said he didn't even have half the resources he wanted to do the things he wanted to do. So that's never going to change. So with what we have to work with, we actually get to do this stuff. This is so much fun. And that's why we're here as leaders. Let's lead and manage all these resources the best we can to create the most value possible, and keep struggling to get better at it and struggle better. I mean, I had a bunch of t-shirts made up to say struggle better. That's our job as a leader. And there's no end to how we can do it. Keep pushing this bar of value creation, and you will start chipping away at your limiting beliefs on what is or isn't possible. And I don't think any of us have any idea what's possible regarding the value that we can create in the world.
I agree. Again, I'm thinking about leadership, and I'm thinking about this eating and dreaming, and you gave us 6 leadership traits. And I was trying to think how I could weave it in, and so I'm just going to have a horrible segue, but I'm going to do it anyway. The 6 leadership traits you have are energy, edge, passion, energize, execute, and resiliency. And I'm curious about these 6 leadership traits. There's nothing in here that I would push against at all, but is there one or two of the 6 that you go, these 2 are absolutely, if I were to order them, this is more critical?
Yeah. Well, I think at every point in time in a business, different ones are more important. So if you go through them, first one, energy. I think we should all have positive energy, good times, and especially bad times. And how many leaders have you met that when things get rough, they get down in the dumps? When times get tough, there's challenges going on. We need to have a really positive mindset. We're going here. Let's productively engage how we're going to get through it and make all this happen. So positive energy, especially good times. And then, we as leaders, this energize trait, we create the environment from which everybody creates value. And it's not a stump speeching to motivate everybody. It's creating the right environment, giving them the tools they need, listening to them, developing them, encouraging them, setting up the right management systems and cross-functional collaboration, all of it. So we have to create this environment that releases intrinsic motivation from team members, and energizes them. The edge piece of it, it's about having difficult conversations, and still way too many leaders will basically, say something as a cop out, like, well, I'm good. And, I don't want to have that conversation with them. It'll be confrontational. I think the most caring thing we can do is tell employees where they stand and what's expected when it comes to performance, no matter how they react to it. If we let poor performance go too long, they think they're doing fine. They could be delusional, who knows? But that's not the most caring thing you can do. And it's an example of incredibly weak leadership. So the first conversation I want to have every day, if that needs to be had, is that conversation with a team member. And I view it as an energizing conversation, not this tough conversation. The energy you bring to a conversation with your team or a direct report, that's a big deal. So you have to kind of think about that. Passion. If you're not passionate about something, how could you ever be good at it? It makes no sense. Resiliency is super important. The tougher it gets, you have to lean in and do it. If things were perfect every day and there were no challenges, we wouldn't need leaders. It would just happen. And then execute, I think the 6th one on that list. If you don't make the numbers, then none of it matters. If we don't have profit, we're out of business. So there isn't one or two that's more important than the others. It's at every point in time, which ones, do you need to really live?
You make another point in this, towards the end of this chapter, concerning organizational structural bottlenecks versus process bottlenecks, and that it should be something that we regularly are looking at. Talk through us, if you will, structural bottlenecks and how we should go about looking for those, and what are we really looking for, and what are we trying to achieve while doing that?
Yeah. Maybe the best way to visualize this for the listeners is think of your company as a sort of value creation flow. We start on one end with awareness. How do people even find out about you? When we get into marketing qualified leads, massaging them into sales qualified leads, nurturing and closing the sales, onboarding the customer, delivering the product or service, the ongoing customer experience. And then you've got all the support structure. It could be legal, finance, HR, engineering, whatever your business is. And when you look at this value creation flow structure, and just think red, green, or yellow. How well are we dealing with awareness right now? Is it red, green, or yellow? How well are we generating marketing qualified leads? Is it red, green, or yellow? Same thing with sales qualified. Same thing with closing sales. Manufacturing the product or delivery of the service, the ongoing customer experience. So when you look at all of that, and you can say, hey, this is green, green, red. Any one of those that goes red is like a structural bottleneck inside the organization. So your value creation flow is stopped. Everything could be bright green, but you've got the closing sales piece, it's red. It stops all of it. And so when you look at that, if you just imagine a dashboard for your business with this value creation flow structure going across and all the support structure to that, that's your organizational bottleneck dashboard, if you will. And the thing I love about it, Jay, is it tells you exactly where you need to be focusing in the business that second. Like every day you come in, the leadership team knows exactly what they need to be doing and focusing on. And if they see it and it stands out, I see this as well. Like there could be one or two things that are blinking red and they just don't address it. And then I back up and say, okay, so you're intentionally accepting these poor results because you're not doing what you say and you can clearly see needs to be done here. It's such an amazing tool.
I know that when it comes to bottlenecking, that in businesses, it's like, oh, it'll just get better on its own, but it never gets better on its own. And so it becomes, if you don't address it, and I think this is where, you've got to make the edge comes in, right? You've got to make the tough decisions. You got to have the tough conversations. But I see this regularly where, you'll have a set of managers that report to the CEO, and they'll say, well, we're having a little bit of a bottleneck here, but we're going to, it should work itself out by quarter 3 or quarter 2. That's not a solution to the problem. That becomes an issue because you got people who don't want to address the real issue, which is a problem in of itself. I want to move to chapter 2.
Okay.
How we agree to do the work matters. And unpacking your most important numbers and drivers, which you've trademarked. And you ask a question immediately. You say, what's the number one thing missing for most organizations when it comes to value creation? And you allow us to have some time to think about it. And then you answer it from your point of view and say, it's intentionality. Help us understand that a little bit more.
Yeah, there should be a management operating system and a set of cultural alignment tools that allow you to, and every team member, to intentionally create value. We're coming in, the mindset is we're here to create value, and this is how we're going to intentionally work together in our management operating system to do that. And having one common way of doing it, even though each team's nuanced application of it can be a little to significantly different, really helps in an organization in terms of language, understanding what every team is working on. Because just imagine, Jay, going to any team And rather than having to spend an hour or two or longer trying to get the lay of the land, like, what are you guys doing here? What's happening? I can walk in and say, let me take a look at your most important number. And of course, I have a software platform, we have that's out there. I can see the number. I can see all the drivers they've selected. I can see the work they're doing. I can see what they're talking about in meetings. I can see the decisions they're making. It takes me minutes to get the lay of the land, and I know what they're doing. I can take their best practices and apply it to my team. So being intentional about that saves a lot of time, and it just accelerates value creation. And then, part of your question is how we interact with each other. Now that comes back to cultural alignment tools, leadership traits, and behaviors. And Jay, I apologize. The last 30 seconds, your audio completely went out, so I can't hear you at all.
To do that, because we're clearly having a problem.
Yeah, you just came in really like twice as loud, and now you're backing off again. I'm so sorry about this, man.
I'm not sure what's going on, but we'll try to. Can you hear me okay now?
I can.
All right. Well, what we could do, go on, and then I'll just ask a question. I'll edit this out in the podcast if you want to keep going.
Yeah, happy to do it. It's wild. It's like you wave in and out. It'll just slowly go down and then gone, and then it'll slowly come back in. Yeah.
I can't. Nothing is showing up on the boards. I can't figure that out. I don't know where that's coming from.
Yeah.
That's
no worries. Let's keep going, man.
All right. So let's just pick it up from the question that I was going to ask. One of the is allowing employee development to be disconnected from the work they hired to do. I'm gone. I can't believe it. All right. Lee, can you hear me at all? You can't. Let's reschedule. Thanks, everybody.